Hello, everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes. We'll give everyone a few minutes to join the live. So. Okay, and it looks like some of you, some more people have joined. If you're having issues with Teams and signing in, feel free to just email me, Blonde Ladokin, and I will be able to just mark your attendance for this GA update, and we'll troubleshoot some of the issues that you're having with Teams Live. But for now, we're going to get started. So, good morning, everyone. This is Blonde Ladokin, CDBG Program Manager. Welcome to the the Fall Grant Administrator Update. Happy to have this today, and welcome. So we're going to go over some housekeeping for this GA update. It's provided with Teams Live. So if you have a question, or if you're having any issues with Teams, feel free to contact Matt Wakefield, and he'll be able to help you during this GA update. For those of you who are not familiar with Teams Live, here are the instructions to ask a question. Select the Q&A on the right side of the screen. I know that some of you don't have the ability to not ask anonymously, so feel free to share your name if you feel comfortable. So we're going to segue into some okra trivia. So we thought it would be a fun way to open up the GA update with something a little bit different. So let's go over the rules. So the rules. Over the next few slides, we'll ask a trivia question related to okra or the state of Indiana. In the Q&A chat, provide an answer to the question as quickly as possible. While we won't be keeping score, if you answered all the questions correctly, we'll give you some bragging rights. So be honest if you didn't get an answer right or not. And we'll get started soon. So, the first question. Indiana is a winter destination for which sports enthusiasts? Sledding, snowshoeing, surfing, or snowboarding? And again, you can answer in the Q&A chat. We'll give you a minute or so to answer that question. So I'm noticing a few answers. So let's look into the answer here. If you answered surfing, you would be correct. Looks like I didn't see surfing for anyone on here who did answer. This was actually sent in by our East Central Community Liaison, Colette. It has to do with the unique experience in surfing in the cold and the way the water is in the winter. So fun fact. We'll go ahead and jump into the next question. All right, if you're from Indiana, you should know this answer. What is the oldest theme park in the United States? And we'll give you a few minutes. You have Cedar Point, Kings Island, Great Times Family Fun Park, and Holiday World. Okay, so getting a few answers, and we're gonna go ahead and segue to the next answer. And if you said Holiday World, you are 100% correct. So Santa Claus Land, which is now Holiday World, it's celebrating its 75th anniversary this year. It also has 3 of the top 10 wooden roller coasters in the world, and as well as the highest rated water park in the country. So the next question. This fictional cat is the creation of Hoosier Jim Davis. We have A, Tomcat, B, Jerry, C, Snowball, or D, Garfield. And we'll give you a minute to answer that question too. All right, so I'm getting a few answers. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next slide. And if you answered D, Garfield, you would be correct. So now we're going to segue to our last question. So last question is, who accidentally ran over a squirrel while out visiting community? Was it A, Christmas Hudgens, B, me, Blonde Layla Doken, C, Matt Wakefield, or D, Adam Michelle? And we'll give you a few minutes to answer that question. All right, so we're going to go ahead and segue into that answer too. And the answer is A, our CDBG director, Christmas Hutchins. Christmas, do you have any words you'd like to say on that one?
Oh, that was horrible. That was like the worst thing that ever happened.
What? So a lot of people thought it was Adam Michelle, and someone said all of the above. So
I'm an animal lover.
Yeah, I don't know how you would have felt about this little kamikaze squirrel that jumped out in front of me. Poor guy.
all right, so that was a trivia. I hope you all had some fun with that. And then we're just gonna go ahead and so did anyone get 5 out of 5 on that? Betsy Pepperek says she's got 5 out of 5. So bragging rights to you. 4 out of 5? Anyone? Not seeing anyone. So good job, Betsy. All right, so thank you again. So let's get this GA update started. So over the course of this update, we'll update you on the following. We have new staffing updates and calendar updates. We're going to talk about the GA training a little bit, talk about grant services, answer some of your FAQs. We do have some program-specific updates. So we're going to talk about OOR, RHP, Main Street, and HELP. And then we're going to have a little tutorial over the summary of work in your applications. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and segue to Christmas.
Oh, thank you, Belonley. Good morning, everyone. I think it is still before noon. The hours start to run together, and it's only Tuesday, but we do have a lot that we want to share with you this morning. Definitely some staffing updates. As you know, we've got some open positions here at Okra. We also have some recently filled positions that we're excited to update you on. So I would imagine that the first big piece of news, if you haven't heard already, is that I have recently stepped into the role of State CDBG Program Director. So I'm very, very excited to work alongside Matt Wakefield, who has recently been promoted to Senior CDBG Program Manager, and Belonley, of course. We have a wonderful CDBG team, and I so very much appreciate their contributions, and I'm really looking forward to talking more with you all about how we can continue to work alongside you and all of our wonderful communities to hopefully help get these dollars out where they can be impactful in our rural communities. So another big update to share with you is Neil Elkins. So some of you may be familiar with Neil if you happen to be from the Southwest District, but Neil has recently stepped in to the open position of Community Affairs Director. So he is going to be working with the CL team, getting out and about across the state to meet with local leaders and other stakeholders like yourselves to get kind of that ground level feedback that we need to inform our program and policy development and to provide technical assistance on our programs. So very, very excited to have his experience and leadership for that team. Speaking of community liaisons, we do have some openings for community liaison positions, including our Southeast District, which I believe that we have an accepted offer for that particular position. So be on the lookout because we will likely be announcing a name soon once SPD goes through and does all of their appropriate paperwork and background checks and all of the different HR pieces that have to fall into place. But once all of that is completed, we are looking forward to sharing that person's name with you so that we can fill that vital position in the Southeast. Lisa Mutch is no longer with Okra, and that has left an opening in our Southwest district. So for those of you who may know of someone who is interested in taking on the challenge of being a community liaison, who is a passionate public servant, and would be a good addition to the team, please feel free to forward that job opening to them or have them send their resume our way so that we can, as we begin to schedule interviews and things like that, we are open to talking to whoever might be interested in that position so that we can get it filled with someone who has the requisite skills and abilities to serve that district at the highest level. I'm not going to say too much about Main Street because I know that Andrea Kern, our Director of Strategic Initiatives, is going to provide a more detailed update on some of the Main Street openings that we have available with you later on in the presentation. But we do have some news for you with respect to Main Street, and so we're excited to announce who's going to be stepping into that role and providing support and technical assistance to our Main Streets alongside Andrea. And then, of course, we do still have an opening for an NLC program director. Many of you may know that we have expanded the team significantly and added a couple of program managers along with a GIS analyst who have been working very hard and in collaboration with the Indiana Broadband Office and with Grant Services and whoever else might have valuable input to offer. I know Matt Wakefield's been part of those conversations as well. But we're excited for Next Level Connections. We're excited to see the Indiana Connectivity Program, which launched yesterday. All of them contributed to the development of those opportunities. And so we're looking for leadership for that team so that we can kind of continue to move forward and implement the vision that the state legislature has outlined for us for that program so we can get broadband out to our rural communities. But that's kind of a wide-ranging Okra staffing update. So please, if you want to send any notes, if you have any questions, those are the folks that that you need to be reaching out to for their respective responsibilities. So Blondley, can you advance us to the next slide, please? Updated calendar. So as many of you are aware, we did have to adjust some dates in light of some of the staffing changes that we have had here recently to ensure that we had enough time to get through some of these activities. And as we kind of roll out some of the new pilot programs that we have going on that we'll dig into here a little bit later. We are almost through September, which is hard to believe. But we did roll out and launch the Recovery Housing Pilot Program on Monday, September 7th, or excuse me, that was a Tuesday because Monday was Labor Day. So we are currently accepting proposals for that particular program. Those proposals will be due in October on the 29th. We are currently accepting applications for the fourth quarter planning grants. Those applications are due in November. So make sure that you reach out to your CL and take advantage of any technical assistance that they have to offer you as you're putting together that application because they will be due in November. And then of course, round 2 is also open. So we'll be accepting proposals here soon in October so that we can get site visits done through October, November, because we anticipate an application due date of, not anticipate, we've set an application due date for round 2 of December 17th. That is the same date that those Recovery Housing Pilot Program applications are due, so hopefully that'll kind of make it easy, or at least easier to keep track of everything. We do intend to announce quarter 4 planning awards on the 7th of December. And then we'll be announcing the RHP program awards when we come back from the holidays in January, and then round 2 awards will be announced in February. So these are some of the important upcoming dates that that you need to know. I would also mention that we typically release our agency calendar for the upcoming year for those of you with questions about what 2022 is going to look like. We typically release our agency calendar for the upcoming year in November. So be on the lookout for that, and that way you'll have all of the important dates you need for 2022 as well. Okay, you can advance this if you'd like, Belonley. I think I'm handing it back to you.
Yes, you sure are. So I'm going to give you an update on the GA training. For those of you who are unaware, the GA training just recently had wrapped up. So we were able to have 33 people officially be certified to be grant administrators. And so we'll join us in a virtual applause, and we'll have their names in the next couple of slides. So congratulations, Alex Brown, Ashley Salesman, Andrew Zellers, Beth Newton, Brandon Watts, Brett Roberts, Carrie Riley, Carla Herworth, Colby Gray, Dennery Kane, Erica Klein, Gretchen Moore, Hannah Garrett, John Bond, Jessica Potts, and John Hayden. So virtual applause. Then we have Jing Xu, Jenny McCannon, James Clark, James Turnwald, Christine Kruger, Leah Hawkins, Luke Thomas, Megan Bender, Michelle Hansen, Michaela Marazzi, Mackenzie Kump, Michelle Lassiter, Rachel Bailey, Ryan Keller, Sarah Steller, Tara Damon, and Timothy Parthens. So congratulations to you all. Thank you so much for just being able to not only take the GA training, but also handle the case study. And thank you so much for your patience while we were doing our first virtual GA training. So thank you. I do have a few new updates for our new certified grant administrators. So new grant administrators, please do not forget to fill out the registration form. You have until October 15th to fill it out. I will be updating the new GA list on the website. So you don't want to miss putting your information in that. If you don't fill that out by October 15th, you'll just need to email me and let me know. And that goes for any other grant administrators. If you have an issue with, your contact information, just feel free to email me and I'll go ahead and fix that for you. And then also the recorded case study video will be sent out to all the individuals who took the grant administrator case study. So we will follow up you the next couple of weeks for that. So I did have a few statistics just to really celebrate again the GA training. It was Okra's first 100% virtual training. We had about 50 to 76 attendees per course in the training. 25 hours of virtual learning, so a lot of time spent in front of a computer. And then again, just 33 new grant administrators will join our directory, so I'm so excited for that. I can't wait to see what you all will do and how you will impact all of our communities. So updates about the next GA training will be announced sometime next year. So if you need, if you know individuals who are interested in taking the GA training, please just let them know that we'll have more information next year. And then here's my contact information. So if you have any questions related to the GA certification or Contain Ed, send me an email, call me. I'll be more than happy to assist you. And with that, I will hand this over to Adam Michelle.
And good morning. I just have a couple quick updates to go through from Grant Services. If you're going to go ahead and keep bouncing along on the slides here, Blondlight, thank you. Currently, Grant Services is working on several different updates. One of the things that we have going on is the handbook update. We are kind of working on some specific policies right now, and we hope to have those implemented in spring of 2022, along with a GMS manual. This GMS manual will cover things such as, how to submit a FEPS record, how to navigate through your general administration page, how to do your release of funds and pre-release of funds reports, how to do a closeout report, and a couple other items like that. So be on the lookout for that coming this spring, if not a little bit earlier, because we've got a lot of good work done on that. So we're hoping to have that available for you guys. In the meantime, if you do have any questions about anything via GMS, you can contact Grant Services and we will help you through the process. We are also looking at having a more comprehensive, just the handbook itself. We're going to implement the actual GMS guide into the handbook, so watch for that as well. We do have an updated duties and responsibilities list for Grant Services that is posted on the Okra website. So if you do need that list, you can find it on the handbook and form page, the Okra handbook and forms page online. We do have some things that have changed on that recently, so I do suggest checking that out. It is up to date, so that will help you know who to contact first if you're having an issue that Grant Services can solve. Go ahead and jump ahead. Some other additional updates. We do have a couple new staff members, Michelle Hansen and Catherine Jahantes, now have been added to the team. Michelle will be handling labor standards and Catherine oversees contracts and is also as our new admin for the GMS system. So if you have any issues with the GMS system, Catherine can help you through those. Any labor issues, Michelle can help you through those. Our Adam Servies, who's been with us for about the last 3 years, his last day will be this Friday. So please make note of that. A lot of his responsibilities are going over to Catherine and Michelle. So if you need assistance from something he previously helped you with, please check the duties and responsibilities list for any sort of updates there. We are currently doing some updates to the ER process. I know that there were some issues with some links recently, so watch for those to be updated. And again, if you check our duties and responsibilities list, you will see that Tim Parthen and Emily Brockmeyer are the people who to contact for any ER questions. And finally, we do have a new closeout procedure that is about to, that we're hoping to have released very soon. It will have some different forms, so we won't have closeout forms 1, 2, and 3. We'll hopefully just have one closeout form, so it'll be less cumbersome for everybody. And then a lot of the process will be in the GMS system. So be on the lookout for that as well. And there's a quick screenshot of the duties and responsibilities list, just in case you guys need that. All right, and I will toss this back over to, I think, you, Blondlight.
Okay. No, it's actually me, I think.
Sorry.
But Blondlight, if you can go ahead and advance to the next slide. We just wanted to go ahead and walk through a couple of frequently asked questions that we've been getting lately. So the first relates to the currently open round of construction grants and why historic preservation was not included as part of PFP. So the quick answer is that we already have a number of dollars going toward historic preservation projects, state dollars through HRGP, and then of course $2 million of our annual allocation has been set aside for historic preservation projects through the preserving pilot, and we want to avoid any redundancies in our method of distribution. So for this round, we determined not to fund historic preservation projects under PFP, but all of the other normal projects are open and available to apply for. So next slide, Lonely. Why is BCP not available for round 2? This is another question we've been getting a lot frequently. The short answer is all of the money that we allocated for BCP was spent in the first round. It just so happened that we had the right number of applications that scored above that $450 million threshold, 450 point threshold to be fundable. And so since we had enough fundable applications, we were able to allocate all of the BCP funds in that first round. So another thing to keep in mind is that we do have some caps on how much, and this relates to the historic preservation piece as well. We do have some caps on how much of our allocation can go for activities that meet the national objective of elimination slum blight. And that is 30%. So 70% of the allocation has to go for activities that benefit LMI persons. That other 30% can go for things like elimination of slum blight. Of course, we've got technical assistance and admin caps, planning caps, but all of that goes into the method of distribution. And so it adds up to us needing to just be mindful of how many projects we fund that meet the national objective based on something other than LMI benefit, like historic preservation or blight clearance. So hopefully that helps to give you answers to those questions. I've seen them come across my email a couple of times now, so thought it would be a good idea to just go ahead and answer them here for you in case anybody else was wondering about those two specific items. Belinda, can you go ahead and move to the next slide? Some additional updates. Do also want to remind you that the CAPER is posted. The draft is posted on OCRA's website on the Consolidated and Action Plan page. That is open for public comment until the 29th. It is also available on IHCDA's website. If you do have any comments that you'd like to share, any questions, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Sam Spurgel at IHCDA because we want to make sure that we are capturing any thoughts that you have on that draft before we submit to HUD on the 30th. So just to kind of keep you posted on where we're at with that. Next slide. And now I'm going to hand it off to Matt Wakefield, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the exciting pilots that we currently have going on. Matt?
Thank you, Christmas. We'll start by going over OOR. Well, we will not start by going over. We'll start by recovery housing, the pilot program. As you saw, the dates were announced, and we did open the program and have held a informational webinar that is available on our website. So please do check that out, as well as the PowerPoint slides have been posted. If you have any questions about those, please let me know. We are getting a lot of early returns as far as interest within the program. So please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or your community liaison. We have set up a couple calls and meetings if necessary to go over those potential projects. For those of you who have not seen it, or a reminder, the RHP funding is to go specifically for the rehabilitation or construction of recovery residences, which meet the NAR standards of 2, 3, or 4. We are partnering with our friends at the Division of Mental Health of FSSA to help score and set up the program. So this is a special allocation that exists outside of our regular allocation for HUD. We are part of a 25-state pilot in order to hopefully see that there is more funding needed for projects of this type. And our hope is then that we will either be allocated more funding based on this or be able to set ourselves up to address this with our allocation in general. HUD has made a few adjustments to the national objective and eligible activities. You can find all of that in our instructions or the HUD guidance that they have put out as well. The maximum grant amount is $600,000. We got 2 allocations of a little over $800,000 available. So there is not a lot of funds available for this pilot program. However, we are, based on the amount of interest, we are open to trying to find other funding resources or allocations for those who do come in if there are projects that meet the standards that we would like to see for this, and we're able to administer them successfully. Next slide. Just a quick update on OOR. That just was announced on Friday. So this is for our pilot program for the owner-occupied rehabilitation. There were 4 awardees, City of Austin, Connersville, Mitchell, and Rushville. So they have been awarded up to $250,000 to set up their own program in order for residents of their communities to apply to make rehabilitation improvements to their home. And so those are somewhat limited for the purpose of this pilot. The biggest thing for us is to allow us to understand what all will go into administering this program, what skills we need to learn on our end, as we have not done housing or housing elements within OCRA. That's typically been IHCDA. So this has been a learning process for us as we set up some of the administrative tools that we need in order to administer the program. So we are learning through that along with these 4 communities. Our goal is that we'll help be in a good place to see as an organization whether we can move this program forward or adjustments that we would need to make in order for us to be able to successfully administer this program in the future. So we had 4 applicants we had 4 awardees of 9 total applicants. And so we will hopefully be able to judge the need for the project moving forward as we do future MODs for future allocations as well. So something we will be taking public comment on to see how much need is out there for all the communities within Indiana. And I believe that is all I have. If you have any questions about either one of those, please feel free to contact me. Happy to walk through any of those. And obviously, if it's RHP, ASAP, we want you to get those applications and proposals in. We got about a month left.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Kern. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives. Blondley, can you flip for me? Okay, so we're going to talk about a few of our updates related to help preserving Main Street and an update on the Main Street Coordinating Program. Next slide. So our biggest update is that DeeDee Leonard, who is finishing out her last week as the West Central Community Liaison, will be starting on Monday as our Senior IMS Program Manager. We're so excited to have her on our team. She has a background in Main Street as well as a background in program management. So she's going to be taking point as the Main Street lead program manager, and will also be overseeing the Preserving Main Street program. We will also be hiring a help program manager that should be posted in the next couple weeks. So that's been approved and just waiting on that to get posted. So you can, if you know anybody who would be interested in that, let me know and I can forward them the job description once it's posted. Next slide. So our biggest update related to the Preserving Main Street program is that at the end of August, we announced our 2 awardees, and that is the town of Brookville and the city of Kendallville. So each of them will receive $2 million in CDBG funds for transformative historic preservation projects in their downtown district, as well as assistance from both Indiana Landmarks, Main Street America, to do some capacity building for their Main Street organization, and then a $10,000 grant each from Indiana Humanities to do some storytelling initiatives, some early wins for them related to historic preservation in their downtown. So that is really exciting. I just wanted to feature each community here. Main Street Brookville is going to be looking at doing facade improvements for their main historic overlay district. And if you haven't been there before, it definitely has a tourism slant with the lake and the reservoir nearby. So I really want to lean into that heritage tourism with this program. Next slide. And then experience the heart of Kendallville, which is Kendallville Main Street. And the city will use this to do some kind of creative projects such as demonstration blocks. So these are buildings that are currently vacant that they want to, white box the interior and use CDBG funds for exterior improvements, basically to show the community what's possible with these buildings. They also want to do other facade improvement projects, and then looking to use the humanities funds to create a historic and cultural trail in their downtown. Next slide. So our finalists, Cambridge City Main Street, the Heart of Jasper, and Attica Main Street, will also be receiving funds through our contract with Main Street America to do additional capacity building planning over the next 2 years as well. So we do plan on bringing back this program in 2023, so you can keep kind of stay updated over the next year on what's going to be required to apply. One thing that will be a requirement is having that existing preservation ordinance in place at time of application. So that's something that communities can begin working on over the next year if that's a program they're looking to apply for. And you can reach out to me or DeeDee if you have any questions about what that will mean. Next slide. So the Hoosier Enduring Legacy Program, which we launched at the beginning of August, has applications closing this Friday. So let me know if you have any questions regarding the application process. We do plan on making an announcement November 5th. Next slide. All right. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me either phone or email. Thank you, everyone.
Back to me, is it? Okay. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Adam. Very appreciative of all of those updates. We did want to kind of round out our conversation today with kind of a little mini training on how to effectively write the summary of work that is part of the CDBG construction application. As many of you know, when you're looking at the application toward the right of your screen, you'll see a field that is currently titled Summary of Work. We want to dig into exactly what it is that we're looking for in that field, and then give you some tips and best practices on how to build that out effectively. So Belanle, if you want to go ahead and jump us over to the next slide. That summary of work, the purpose of that field is so that you can provide us with a brief description, or what could also be called a media summary of a project, so that we can utilize it, you can utilize it, the community can utilize it to inform the media, citizens, and other important stakeholders about the important details related to the project and the subsequent impacts. We primarily use these statements when you're awarded for the announcements, for the press releases, announcing awards. So when you use this section in the application to kind of further expound on your project description, sometimes we see folks using it as additional narrative space, but that makes it very, very challenging when we're trying to pull that project blurb for that announcement, because then we have to do kind of a lot of editing and digging around. And so we will be updating that field in the application in the future to reflect that definition, so that it is a little more clear what it is that we're looking for there. We need to do some testing in what Salesforce calls the sandbox, which is really just kind of a play space for us, so that we can test out different things that we're trying to implement, make sure that they work as we expect them to before we roll them out to you. So be on the lookout for that. That's not going to happen for this round because it's already open in GMS and we don't want to cause any issues. But looking ahead, we'll probably rename that field so that it makes it a little bit more clear what it is that we're looking for. But just to kind of summarize, like it's a media summary. What we're looking for is a brief overall description of the project that describes the activities, the funding, and the potential impact for different media announcements that can be utilized by Okra for our award announcements, but also by the community and by anyone who would be working as part of their team to communicate with citizens, with the residents, or with the media. So moving on to the next slide, some best practices for you to consider. Project summaries, that media summary is best written in simple, kind of accessible in a non-technical way. You should try to use lay language as best you can to describe the activities that will be completed as part of the project, so that anyone reviewing that description can clearly understand the work that is being completed. You want to think carefully about the main message that you wish to convey. When I say activities, obviously some of the scope of work for some of these projects is pretty expansive. So really what we're talking about are kind of those 2 to 3 overarching main elements of the project scope that you want to highlight. You'll also want to make sure that you're identifying the program. So if it's a PFP award, if it's a WDW award, make sure you call that out in the media summary, as well as the award amount. And be sure to include the details related to any local match or local match sources for the project, because that's an important story to tell. A community being able to leverage the local funding that they have available with grant funds, it's demonstrative, right, of that true public-private partnership that helps these projects to be so successful, and that really drives communities, that really highlights their momentum and initiative to get these projects funded for the benefit of their residents. So if possible, it's always helpful to describe very briefly the problem or the need that the project is addressing, and tie that to the activities being completed. Next slide. Make sure you outline what that solution looks like or what the project's main objectives are, along with that value statement, right? What is the value to residents? And then ultimately you'll want to wrap it up with a conclusion about the importance of the significance of the work. But try to stay on subject, try to stay within the word limit. For this type of media summary, we're really looking at something more akin to like 500 to 600 words. So maybe 3 sentences, 2-3 sentences. And then once you're done, it's always a good best practice to maybe leave it alone for a minute, come back, reread it, make sure that it's still representative of what you want to say, what the community wants to say with respect to their project, that it represents the community well while meeting your professional objectives as a grant administrator, as a grant writer. So anytime you have questions about any of that, please feel free to let us know. Of course, you can always go back and you can pull up previous award announcements that are posted on our webpage to find some good examples. We've also provided some for you here. Belunley, if you move us forward to the next slide, I can show you. We've pulled some just for convenience sake, the City of Cannleton, Francisco, City of Knox. As you can see, each media blurb starts by mentioning the grant amount. Since this would be post-award, this media summary is primarily for use if awarded, then you're going to want to write it as if the award has been granted. So the City of Cannleton is awarded $500,000 to do what? To eliminate hazardous environmental conditions where at the former Can Clay Corporation property. Why? What's going to be done as part of this project? The environmental remediation includes removal of hazardous materials, including asbestos, drum containers, brick debris, clay pipe debris, etc. And then ultimately, what are we seeking to accomplish? To significantly improve a blighted area that's approximately 26 acres in the heart of the city. So these are a couple good examples that you can draw from that demonstrate what we're looking for. Those are BCP projects. Looks like all of these might be BCP projects. So feel free to take a peek at these when you have some time, but these are great examples of precisely what it is that we're looking for, and they kind of help you see different ways that you can construct that so that you're implementing those best practices, but still telling the unique story of this particular project, of this award, and what it's going to mean for the community. So I think, what do we have after this, Belanley? I think that's all I have. Belanley, do you want to pick it up here and just kind of do a quick review of what we've covered today?
Yes, I sure can. So over the course of this update, we've updated you on the following: new staffing updates and calendar updates, the GA training, grant services, the FAQs, program-specific updates on and then the summary of work walkthrough that we just went through. So any questions on those? And we'll give you a minute or so to put those in the chat. So yes, we're getting a few questions about the examples that were provided. Instead of words, we actually meant characters. So it should be 500 to 600 characters. So you think of like a text message, typically a text message would be 200 characters. So to clear that up. So I have another question. It says, what kind of documentation do we submit to receive our continued education for GA? So if you have continuing education, really it's a two-phase process. So the first is to actually approve the course itself. And really, I really need just justification as to how the continuing education course would improve your ability to be a grant administrator. So then that process would look like you would send me an email telling me what the course is or what the conference. You would send me some type of justification as to how that improves your ability to be a grant administrator, some helpful links to the actual website of the conference or the course, PDFs of PowerPoints, anything like that. So that's the first phase. And then I usually typically put those approved continuing eds on the website. The second phase of that process is really just you maintain the proof of attendance that you attended that course. So anything like a PDF of again, the PowerPoint, maybe a screenshot, things of that nature. And then you just retain those for your records. Because at the end of the year, what we'll do is we'll randomly select a few GAs, and then you'll need to show proof of your attendance for that continuing ed class. And so are there any other questions? And I'm seeing a few more in the chat. And it looks like they're being answered. So, okay. Well, if there aren't any other additional questions,
I see a few on this.
Okay. Are there any additional continuing ed courses to be put on Oak Road between now and the end of the year? So as far as GA updates, there's going to be at least one more GA update before the end of the year. For continuing ed courses, those are all aggregated from other GAs. And so they're in the future, we do we'll potentially have that capability of producing our own continuing ed courses, but for now, that is aggregated by people sending in suggestions for continuing ed credits, and then we post those on the website.
I see a question here about site visits for round 1. I think the question is related to feedback meetings. Am I right about that? Feedback meetings began for round 1, began last week, and should be conducted through the rest of this week. I would say if you haven't heard from your CL yet, please reach out to find out about getting that scheduled. If you do not currently have a CL in your district, then your next step would be to reach out to either Neil Elkins, the Community Affairs Director, or Jerry White, our Senior Community Liaison, as they are going to be out and about kind of covering some of those gaps to ensure that everybody receives feedback on their round 1 applications. So please reach out to them. But the short answer is yes, we are doing feedback meetings for round 1, and those are currently ongoing. So please reach out to your CL for assistance with scheduling.
And we have another question related to the continuing ed, just like, is the continuing ed webpage being updated with more trainings? Yes, that is highly dependent on what other grant administrators are sending in for me to approve. And then I typically evaluate those continuing ed courses, and then they usually get published within a week or so after looking through them. So and any other questions? And I'm aware of some of the issues that you all were having with logging in to Teams Live. So we will troubleshoot that again. Thank you. This is a new technology again that we're working on, and I see that some of you have emailed me, so I will go ahead and add that to the attendance list. Feel free to email me if you had trouble logging in, and we'll just work together on troubleshooting how to solve those issues. So, and I'm not seeing anything other questions. Do you, Christmas, anyone else? Do you have any last things to say?
No, I don't think so. Genuinely appreciative of everybody's time today. We hope you found the updates to be helpful. Please feel free to reach out to us anytime. Our goal is to be accessible and available to answer any questions that you do have along the way, and looking forward to finishing out 2021 and looking ahead to 2022 and all of the different things that that we'll accomplish together, because we know how much we appreciate you, and we're kind of all in this together. So definitely looking forward to continuing that legacy of collaboration, and excited for the future.
Yes, so thank you. That concludes our GA update. We hope to see you for the next GA update that's coming up in the next couple months. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to all these wonderful individuals here. So have a great day.